Well, that was a long story. I mean, I had a distributor who loved the film, and they were bought. I mean, I've been with films that the same studio, and it just changes hands, and the film is dumped. I was in a much worse situation than that because I had a studio that was part of a bigger thing, United Artists, was part of MGM, and MGM was bought by a huge company, Sony. So I was stuck in the middle of nowhere. And the only thing they didn't do was look at it with an audience, because that was the kind of film that you needed to see with an audience to see how it played. And people loved that movie. I mean, the critical establishment, there are people who love it, some people don't get it, some people in between. But audiences respond to that film big time. And, we just got stuck. They never saw it with an audience, and I got stuck. And once someone rejects a film, once you lose your company, and then the company that inherits says, well, we don't really know what we want to do with this, it puts a black eye over it. So when we tried to sell it, people didn't want to pay the price that they wanted for it. I did a little release in New York, and for the amount of theaters that we had a very high per screen average. And we made money for the amount of theaters that we were allowed to show it in across the country. We did better than movies that had $20 million in advertising. So if they would have put it in 100, 500 theaters, they would have made money. I think the film's going to have a long life now on cable, which I know they're excited about it, and the DVD, and because people really dig it. But it's the kind of movie that's almost even better to see with an audience, because it's like a concert film, and that was it. So there was nothing. I did everything you could possibly do, and when we got it out there, we've made some 10 best lists of certain people. We got some great reviews from the New York Times, from Salon.com, from Roger Ebert, from out in LA, there were certain cities we got like rave reviews. They said it's the most imaginative film of the year. So I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Kate Winslet should be she should be up, with all these awards. It's impossible in a supporting role to be better than her. I'm not saying she's the best, but she should be in the conversation because she's brilliant in the film. Gandolfini is wonderful too. But I'm very proud of the film. And I really think people love the film. It did very well here because I had a distributor who distributed it the correct way. And it's done very well in other countries too. So it's going to have a long life. It's going to be one of those films you watch. I have no doubt about it. I mean, Joel and Ethan love the film, and they're very happy that I finally got it out there. But it took a small miracle to do that because I was up against a behemoth, and I'm one guy. So.
Was it? Did it feel like a risky project going into?
It was a risky project, but we had a very strong U.S. distributor. So I wouldn't have done it. I couldn't have done it without that. I couldn't have raised the money without it. But I had, sometimes you have to be lucky, and that's what it is. If they would have remained, I would have been fine, and I would have made a good amount of money. And people saw it. I just proved that I did very well. I mean, a lot of films just tanked. They tanked. And I had almost no, very little advertising, put a little money into it myself, and we did well. We did well. It's like a small little miracle. And it was risky, but I wouldn't have taken that risk if I didn't have support, you understand? So that's why I felt it was kind of horrifying, because I had something in my hand that disappeared. That's different than not having it. You understand? Very different. I wouldn't have made that film if I didn't have that kind of support. So it's a crazy business.